We are back, everybody, with another weekly Forex forecast. I hope it was a great trading week, and let's get prepared for this upcoming week. Starting things off, as always, with the US dollar, the DXY. We saw the US dollar really tank on Friday here. Whenever you're watching this video, it happened today. Massive drop on the weekly time frame, massive weekly red candle here. We have seen these massive drops in the market on the dollar, since last year. And what I've been talking about on the dollar is this weekly demand, which we've already seen two reactions off of. And the fact, if you see these dotted lines, this is a monthly demand. So that's why I've been saying, look, guys, it hasn't been the most bullish price action on the dollar, I will admit. However, since we have monthly demand and control, we have to expect the dollar to continue to go up. And I still kind of feel that way. The issue is this weekly demand now it's been tested twice already. I'll show you guys the weekly demand from back here. And you can go back last year, and I've been pointing out this weekly demand for so long, since it was pretty much, not when it was created, but back here. And it is tricky to tell where price is going to be going. Is price really going to hold up at this weekly demand again? I'm kind of doubting it. So it is kind of a big question right now. Yes, the monthly demand is still in control. It's still fresh. We still could see a move to the upside, right? This could just be, a massive drop because of Trump and everything. I get that. But the fact that we have the monthly demand in control is making me still somewhat bullish on the dollar, but I cannot deny the weakness we have seen. And I'm not really confident in this weekly demand to see another reaction off of the zone. I only like to trade at tested demand or fresh demand zones, not at tested demand zones like this. So it is a little bit concerning for US dollar bulls. And I mean, on the daily chart here, we created a beautiful daily downward trend line. Picture perfect downward trend line formed here on the daily time frame. We are back into our daily demand again for a second test. This it's already been tested. So again, I don't have too much confidence in this area. The only thing that is giving me a little bit of confidence here in this daily zone, even though it's tested, is the fact that we have some sort of liquidity here, some sort of support. So I think we could see a little bit of a rally, could just be a dead cat bounce. But at the end of the day, I think we might be breaking it here. Again, you can tell the hesitation in my voice. I'm not really sure right now on the dollar what is going to be taking place. All I know is we have a nice daily downward trend line. We have a nice 4-hour downward trend line. But if you look at this 4-hour downward trend line, let's look at a channel view, which is my newest tool I have been using. We are pretty overextended to the downside. Not only are we at the lower end of the channel, we're actually below the lower half of the channel. So we could expect to see price rally because of that, maybe back into the 50% mark and above, and continue to see price pull back down. But and if we can break this trend line, let's say we push up, we break the trend line, that's not really going to be that bullish for me on the dollar anymore, since we still have a daily downward trend. What would make me bullish on the dollar again is one, breaking this 4-hour downward trend line, but creating a 4-hour upward trend line again. That would be my bullish sign on the dollar. But until we get that, guys, I'm going to have to be bearish on the dollar here. It sucks to say because the monthly demand's in control, and I kind of want to go with that monthly demand. And look, I will still give credit to this monthly demand. If we get, like I said, a 4-hour upward trend line, break of the daily trend line, then to me, that shows me that monthly demand is in control again, and we can expect the dollar to go back up to weekly supply. But until then, we have to pretty much remain bearish on the DXY here. I was kind of confused at where to draw this supply zone on the dollar here, but you can see I ended up drawing it here at 98.02. So we could, again, retrace up to the supply and continue to move down there. So if we do see some bullish price action on the DXY, I think we will hesitate around this daily supply and then probably break down again. That's what I'm expecting to see at the end of the day here. Nice 4-hour downward trend line. We are into daily demand. Could see a reaction to the upside. Again, it's very tricky. It's indecisive. I'm very indecisive, as you can tell in my voice. So we kind of just have to go with what we have, which is trend lines to the downsides and a couple zones in control here on the dollar. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the euro US dollar. I was really hoping we get a pullback down on this weekly demand because that would just be a great swing trading opportunity. And I know we're very far away from this zone, guys, months and months out if we do pull back to it. But if we do, I still think it's a great swing trading opportunity down there. Just wanted to point that out. On the daily time frame, you can see we created a beautiful daily upward trend line. Obviously, it's the inverse of the DXY. There might be demand here. It's kind of tricky. I didn't really want to draw this demand right there. And I know now that I look at it again, I am going to change it. I'm not going to draw it this big. I'm just going to draw it a little bit smaller. I'm not going to get a detail. I'm not going to give a lesson here, but that's how I'm going to have this demand zone. And we removed a very proven daily supply. It was this daily supply was formed here, and we got 1, 2, 3 reactions off of that daily supply. So it is definitely a very bullish sign on the DXY, or sorry, on the euro. So if we do pull back, I think we will at least hesitate around this demand. I think we actually could see a reaction off of it if I'm being quite honest. It's a pretty good demand zone at 117 on the daily chart. I know most of you don't trade daily zones, which is fine. So if we do pull back down to this daily zone, I'll be looking for H1 confirmation. So I'll be pointing that out in the future. So nice daily zone form, nice trend line. It's looking pretty good. If you view this as a channel, you can see we are pretty much in the upper end of the channel. So a pullback to me does make sense. Pullback below the 50% mark right into our demand zone. I think it makes logical sense to me to be getting a pullback on the euro here, especially after getting such an aggressive push up. And we actually caught a trade, not the entire move. Wish I caught the entire move. Unfortunately, I didn't. But beautiful 1 hour demand zone trade here. Beautifully caught. You can see a couple of the members caught this trade as well. And why did they catch this trade? Because I pointed it out beforehand in the daily market breakdown video, which you can see on the screen right now. If you want to trade alongside myself and the members, join the Diamond membership, where you will have access to the 38-page supply and demand zone PDF, which will be your complete trading guide, the daily market breakdown videos, which are forecasts that I release every single night for the members to trade alongside myself, step-by-step video lessons A to Z, covering everything you need to know on supply and demand trading, the Sunday strategy Zoom session, where members submit homework, and it's an interactive 1 hour call where we go over all of your homework and every trading related question, private access to myself inside of our private Discord group where I answer all of your trading related questions, and finally the Sunday live stream forecast where we break down over 30 markets together. And it's not just me. Here are some of the members and some of their trades they've been taking lately, absolutely killing it. And we also have some amazing reviews from some of the past members sharing their experience within the group. So if you're ready to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership today. Links in the description down below. So beautiful trade off of our zone. I'm glad some of the other members caught that setup as well. Unfortunately, I didn't catch the entire move. It is what it is. We can't always get the entire move. But as far as the euro goes, it is bullish. Unfortunately, the better trade has already taken place, which is one reason to join the group, like I was saying. But nice trend line, overextended here. I do prefer the 4 hour chart view now because it seems a little bit more clean and clear to me. If you view this 4 hour chart, we have a nice 4 hour upward trend line. Let's view this as a channel to see where we are at. You can see we are above the 50% mark. So we are what I like to call overextended right now. It doesn't mean we're due for, we are quote unquote due for a pullback, but look, this thing could continue to skyrocket. There's no real reason for price to pull back other than the fact that we are overextended. It doesn't mean we are, it means we literally could continue to push up, but we kind of have to go with what we got, and the channel shows we are very overextended, so we could expect to see a pullback. So as long as this trend line's holding, we could be looking for longs on a day trading time frame, like a 15 or a 5-minute time frame. And as long as this trend line's holding, we could be doing that. I'd rather be doing it below the 50% mark. So I think waiting for a pullback into this 50% mark could be much, much safer on the euro. And if we do get a pullback, that's a deeper pullback, we do kind of have a zone at the extreme down here. It's not bad. So it definitely could be an area we see a move off of at 115, if we do get that pullback. I'm not saying we are. In my opinion, the trade has already kind of taken place at that 1 hour zone. But so for now, it's really just day trading along with this daily trend line, with the 4 hour and the 1 hour trend line. That makes sense. And again, we have our daily zone down at 117. That could be a great dip buying opportunity as well if we can get some confirmation. So definitely bullish here on the euro, guys. We just got to continue to be patient and continue to trade along with the 4 hour upward trend line and wait for a pullback down the daily demand. Alrighty, on to the forecast for gold. Beautiful daily upward trend line, although we are extremely overextended right now. If we use this channel too, it really shows how overextended we are. So this trend line is almost becoming irrelevant. We want to see a pullback to it very soon. But nonetheless, very strong move on gold here. But we kind of got to wait for pullbacks, in my opinion, to get the higher odds situations. We can go down to the lower time frames here and see what is taking place on the 4 hour chart. Beautiful move off of our 4 hour zone. right there at 47.62. And we did create another 4-hour zone at 48.45. So if we do get a pullback down the zone, I think we could see a move off of it. We are very overextended though. So as far as how big of a move we can get, I don't know. This move here, I didn't catch that entire move, right? It was just too overextended for me on the daily chart to really want to hold that trade long term. Wish I did. It's all good. But at the end of the day, we have a new 4-hour zone down below. We definitely could see a move off of it. So you could be aggressive with trade management due to the fact that we are pretty overextended. Like I was saying on the daily time frame, 4-hour channel view here shows we are pretty overextended as well. So again, aggressive trade management could be better here. 1-to-1, 2-to-1 maybe. Could be good. Move your stop to break even as quick as possible. Could be good as well. And that's really about it. There is a 1-hour zone here, but the reason I think we could pull back on the 4-hour chart, like I was just saying, is if you look at the 1-hour chart, we did create a new 1-hour trend line today and we drew it. But look, it's a pretty aggressive trend line here. I like to see trend lines like more of that angle rather than almost straight up. Obviously, it's not straight up. It's not like this, but it is pretty aggressive. So that's why I think if we do test it, we could actually break it and then pull back down to that 4-hour demand zone like I'm saying. So I will say this as well. If you want to get aggressive with your trading, as long as this 1-hour trend line's holding, we could be looking for 5-minute time frame longs and just riding with this trend line on the 1-hour chart. So 5-minute time frame longs are good as long as this trend line is being respected. But if we break it, which I am kind of suspecting due to how aggressive the trend line is, that would be fine because we have a 4-hour demand zone down below that we were just talking about on gold. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the S&P 500. Last week, I was talking about how I usually don't have two trend lines like this, but we had this most recent trend line here, and I was saying it's most likely we're going to break it due to the steepness of it, just like I was just referring to in the gold chart there on the 1-hour chart, like in literally the last forecast there. Very steep trend line. So that's why it did break, in my opinion. But if you look, like I said, we still have this overall daily trend line here, which I usually don't do, but sometimes we change the rules just a little bit due to just, sometimes the market is just weird and you kind of change the rules just a little bit. It's not like it's a massive rule change, but it is kind of just tweaking it. But don't usually have two trend lines, but in this instance, it did make sense. And like I expected, this trend line is holding beautifully. So we did break that initial trend line. And this trend line's holding nice. So we have to remain bullish, right? As long as this trend line's holding, we got to remain pretty bullish here on the S&P 500. As far as trading it goes, we caught this beautiful 4-hour zone right here. Picture perfect trade, a little bit of drawdown, but nonetheless, great trade. We were pretty much at the top of the trend line now. But beautiful trade. This was called out in last week's weekly Forex forecast for free on YouTube for you guys. So I think that's a great reason to hit that like button and maybe subscribe so you can catch more trades like this by watching more forecasts. So hit that like button, guys. Much appreciated, and subscribe if you're new. So we did get a reaction off of it. In my opinion, you could still be holding this trade. I would probably have my stop in the profit now, right? You don't really want to keep your stop down here. Best case scenario is a break of this trend line, leaving us with a demand to put our stop under. But at the end of the day, trend line is being respected right now. So if you are bearish, you could justify looking for shorts on a 15-minute chart. The reason I don't short the S&P ever is because it's pretty much always going to be counter trend to the 1 week or the 1 month. So it's really not the higher odds situation to be shorting. But at the end of the day here, guys, trend line's in control. So you could be looking for shorts. This trade has already worked out. But if we do get a break of the trend line with a demand zone here, definitely could be another trading opportunity to add on to our trade from down below. So that is quite an interesting chart, and the 1-hour chart is quite interesting as well. We have a gap zone here. If you can see, the gap is right here. The gap is the most strongest supply or demand zone that we can have. Another interesting factor is the fact that we have a clear area of liquidity with resistance right before the zone. So supply and demand and support resistance are not the same thing. And right here we have three moves, well, two really, off of our resistance area with this gap supply zone above. So again, I don't short the S&P, but it's pretty much as high odds as it's going to get this short trade at 69.47. So it could be worth it. How big of a move are we going to get? That is the tricky part, guys. I wouldn't really be looking for a massive move here. I think looking for a 2-to-1 max would make the most sense. Or at least if we do get a reaction off of it, move your stop to break even and just kind of let the trade play out. So that would be our 1-hour supply zone trade. And then for longs, we really just want to wait for this demand zone down below, which isn't my favorite. I like to move away, but it's pretty much a reaction off of our previous demand. So not my favorite situation. That would be our pullback entry long. Or if we do break this supply, any demand there is going to be a very nice trading opportunity as well on the S&P 500. On to the forecast for the USDJPY on the weekly time frame. We were talking about this resistance, saying there's liquidity up there, and we pretty much targeted it. I don't know about all of it, and we started to push back down. So definitely a bearish sign here on the yen. As we pull back, we are pulling back right into our daily demand. But this zone was already tested. It wasn't even a trading setup anyways, for reasons I'm not going to get into. But this zone's very tested. So I'm not like saying here, oh, this zone's definitely going to hold. I'm not saying that at all. The only reason I think the zone could hold is because it's such an aggressive pullback down that we could just see kind of a dead cat bounce here. That's really the only reason, but definitely a bearish sign. We are pretty much closing below the trend line here. So definitely a bearish sign here on the USDJPY. So how do we go about and trade it? The issue, guys, when we get massive red days like this, or even green days for that matter, even if you just reverse this and make it all green, it's great when you're in the trade and then price pushes down. It is very difficult for trading conditions after. I will definitely admit that, because not only one, the zones are so far away when we do get that massive move, and two, all the charts are going to be very correlated, so it's very difficult to pick which one to trade. But at the end of the day, we have to go with what we have, and right now we have a 4-hour downward trend. It's very overextended though. This is pretty much a 9-degree drop. So at this point, I'm not really seeing any trading setups on the yen. We do have an older 4-hour zone over here. It's so old at this point, I would like to see some sort of basing out before the zone, giving us some sort of support as a liquidity, and then I like that 4-hour zone pullback at 154.76. So that's what I prefer to see at that 4-hour zone. And if not, let's say we get a pullback up to this supply, I think it's a decent time to look for shorts at 157.92. It's a good supply zone, great move away, broke a trend line. It's pretty much as good as it's going to get. So that would be our supply zone for a short trade. And this is kind of our key zone, right? Let's say you don't get in long down here. We miss our setup. Price pushes up. I would like to see a reaction of the supply, maybe even get a quick trade out of it. And then if price breaks it, that's a key supply zone that removed the trend line. So any demand that removes that is going to be a very high odds trading situation. So as a swing trader looking for longs potentially here, to me, it's all going to revolve around this 4-hour supply. Quick short, if we remove it, any demands on there is going to be great for a potential long trade. All right, moving on to the forecast for the GBPUSD. We have our clear area of resistance up here. That is not supply. Supply and demand and support resistance completely the opposite. But if we do push up, I think we will be targeting this liquidity here. Probably going to be some stops above that. So I think that's where we're headed. And evidence of that is on the daily chart as well. We have a new, I just drew it today, new picture perfect, beautiful daily upward trend line. Channel view shows we are a little bit overextended. A little bit's actually an understatement. We are pretty much pushing towards the upper ends of the channel. Doesn't mean we can't keep going up, but I'm just saying I think the high probability longs are going to be below the 50% mark on the pound. So these are the higher time frames. Nice trends, definitely looking pretty bullish. The fact that we have a daily upward trend line now, it shows me we will be most likely targeting the weekly liquidity. So that is something to consider. As far as trading it goes, again, like I mentioned in the last forecast there on the yen, very difficult to be getting trading setups in situations like this. We do have an older 4-hour supply that was created back in September of last year. Definitely not an area that I'm trading. I am not short from the zone. It's just too old. We didn't even get any liquidity before it, so it was definitely not a trading setup to me. On the 4-hour chart here, on this trend line, we are extremely overextended. It's almost an irrelevant trend line at this point. So we are sitting way above. So we are due for a pullback. It wouldn't, just based off of this aggressive move, wouldn't surprise me to see a pullback from the supply back into our channel. Just based off of that. Still not a trading setup I took. And that's the reality. If price does this, I'm not going to be bummed out that I wasn't in the setup. So for now, if we can remove this supply well, for one, let me just say, if we get a pullback down to here, as long as this trend line's holding, I think looking for longs on a 15-minute chart are going to be good. But again, we're so overextended here. I'd rather be doing that down here in the lower 50% of the channel. It makes more sense to me. If we remove this supply, we will have a demand zone right here, which I'll have on my chart for the Diamond members. Pullbacks down that demand could be fantastic. But what could happen here is maybe we base up here, create demand, and that could be a good trading setup as well. Even though it will be overextended, as we have a zone here, it could be good for a potential long trade as well. So definitely bullish here on the pound, guys. We just have to be a little bit patient, wait for pullbacks within the trend line, within the channel, and wait for new zones to be formed, and then we could pounce on longs. For now, this is just a great test of patience. We have clear direction now on the daily and on the weekly. And we don't want to just jump the gun. We don't want to be buying up here. Sure, could price just go there now to next week? Definitely. But from my experience, we need to be patient here, wait for zones to be formed, wait for pullbacks in the better part of the channel, and then continue to get in long. So it's a great test of patience here on the pound. On to the forecast for the USDCAD. This is the country I'm from. I'm from Canada, currently living here. Let me know where you guys are from and where you are currently living in the comments down below. Always interested to see. I've even heard of new countries I've never heard of, but I am definitely not geographically advanced or anything like that. So let me know in the comments. On the weekly time frame, we had a nice weekly supply above that removed the trend line. I won't lie, I thought we were going to be pushing up to that weekly supply, and we did not do that at all. We just had a massive red week here in the USDCAD, and kind of unfortunate. I still think that weekly supply is good to look for shorts in. Just want to say that. But obviously, the USDCAD moving down so aggressively right now, definitely a tricky one to be trading. On the 4-hour chart, I had this 4-hour supply. I was very interested in trading it. Thought we were going to get there, and we didn't. And price pulled back without us. It is we really pulled back here. I still like this 4-hour supply zone, even though it's old, for one, because it's in the weekly supply, or it's right at the proximal line of the weekly supply. So I still think it's a high probability, high risk reward trading setup if we do pull back up to that weekly supply. Or sorry, the 4-hour supply and the weekly supply. This 4-hour demand zone trade, I liked it. I took this trade and my stop was at break even, and I was stopped out for a break even trade, and that's fine, right? It was kind of a bummer. I would like to have seen us target the liquidity. I thought I'd make a little bit on this trade, and I didn't. And that's just a reality of trading. Trading psychology is a real thing. If you guys want help with trading psychology to deal with situations like this, when you get a break-even trade, when you're expecting a bigger move, make sure you check out my podcast, the Stoic Trading Psychology Podcast. I have tons of tips in there to help you out with your trading psychology. So definitely could be worth it. I get a lot of positive feedback in the podcast. Make sure you guys check it out. Have a YouTube channel for it as well, available anywhere you get your podcast. So price is pretty much falling off a cliff here. So how do we go and trade the USD CAD? It is tricky. I'll be honest. I don't see any high quality zones that I feel comfortable pointing out. All I really see is this 1-hour downward trend line. But the channel view really shows us a story, as we are well below the lower end of the channel here. But again, kind of a crazy Friday, so kind of expected. I think we still could look for shorts on a 5-minute chart as long as this trend line's holding. I don't want to be doing it here though. I'd rather be waiting for a pullback to at least a 50% mark or above. Then I think doing that on a 5-minute chart is much, much higher odds. And if we do break, let me just get rid of this channel. So again, wait for the upper 50% of that channel to be hit. Then we could start to look for shorts. Very aggressive to be doing that down here. If we break this trend line, any demand there could be good due to the fact that it could just be used to spring price back up to that weekly supply. So again, if we break this trend line, any demand there is going to be a very nice trading opportunity on the USD CAD. Just got to kind of be a little bit patient here. We are very overextended. Wait for a pullback towards the upper end of that channel, towards this 1-hour trend line. And I think looking for shorts on the day trading timeframes are still going to be good. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the Aussie US dollar. The weekly time frame is a little bit alive here. We've been waiting for something like this. It's been so boring on the weekly chart. There's been nothing for feels like years now. So we are at a very, very tested weekly supply here, guys. You've seen 1, 2, 3, 4 tests off of this weekly supply zone. So at this point, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see another move, although it's technically weaker now, in my opinion. I'm really hoping we can break out of the supply and have a nice demand zone here that could be a great potential swing trading opportunity, but we don't have that quite yet. Obviously, going up in a straight line here, we could just see a pullback based off of that. And obviously, we are very overextended here on the Aussie. So on the daily chart, we are into a daily supply, but look at this. This supply was created back in October 2024. It's not a bad zone. It's just so old. And when a zone's old, I like to see liquidity before, and we don't have that. But just based off of how overextended we are, we could actually see somewhat of a move towards the trend line here. On the daily chart, obviously, if we do a channel view here, it's going to show pretty much the same thing that every other chart has been showing. We are above the channel and pretty overextended. So I think we could see a pullback below the 50% mark just based off of that, and maybe continue to see a rise here, guys. But definitely a bullish sign on the Aussie, obviously. As far as trading it goes now, we really want to be focused on the 4-hour chart, in my opinion. Again, so overextended. I don't really want to be buying it here. Really tricky situation for zones. There's maybe one here, but I just felt more comfortable drawing this one down at 0.677. So a healthy pullback would be fantastic, and that'd be a great dip buying opportunity, in my opinion, on the Aussie. So it could be a great dip buying opportunity there at 0.677. If you don't feel comfortable with just an entry, stop, and take profit, because it is kind of, an aggressive pullback down in that zone, you could always just look for confirmation on a 15-minute time frame. I have a full course on confirmation on my YouTube channel, by the way, that you guys should check out to know exactly what you guys should be doing if you do get a pullback down to that 4-hour zone. Okay, on to the forecast for the USD Swiss. We are into that weekly demand. Very tested zone. Nothing really that I am concerned about as far as holding up price. On the daily time frame, beautiful daily downward trend line. Pretty overextended the downside. Obviously, that's kind of the news of the day. Very overextended. Don't quite have a daily supply here. We need to see a stay away candle, but could have some sort of daily supply here. It'd be interesting to see what takes place. I will have that daily supply for the members with my chart link. Definitely a bearish sign. As far as trading the USD Swiss goes, not really having a whole lot of zones here. But now that I look at it, I don't really have any zones, so I kind of have to go with what we have. So on this time frame, we broke this low. Okay, so we are going to have a 4-hour supply right here. This is all, when I do this forecast, I'm not preparing, well, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? I'm doing this all live. It's like I'm looking at the markets as I'm doing it, and I'm just saying what I feel. So nice 4-hour downward trend line. Again, story of the day. Very overextended here. So I personally think waiting for a pullback above the 50% mark could be good. Looking for shorts in here on a 15-minute time frame. And if we remove that, if you take a loss, that's reasonable because we have a 4-hour supply above that could be good for shorts as well at 0.78. So I think it's a good zone. I think being patient, waiting for that zone could be worth it. And again, if you're a day trader, which I'm not, so I'll just be waiting for that 4-hour supply rather than day trading. But if you want to day trade, like I said, as long as that trend line's holding, day trading shorts are going to be good. But I'd rather be doing it near the trend line rather than where we are at now in the channel. We're pretty much at the low end there. So it's good for shorts. Nice supply above for a pullback entry short as well. Looking pretty good here on the USD Swiss. Alrighty, on to the forecast for crude oil. And if you guys are on Instagram, send me a message on Instagram. Say, hey, what's up, Kev? Give me a follow. I've got some content on there too. Check me out. So on the weekly time frame, definitely got a bigger move than I expected, if I'm being honest. I thought we would see somewhat of a move, but off of this support, and we got a bigger move than I expected. So quite interesting. I still think we could be targeting liquidity down below to this weekly demand at 53.85. And that's a great weekly demand I've been pointing out the last few weeks. And I still think if we do get a pullback down to that zone, it could be great for a dip buying opportunity. But we cannot deny the strength of oil. We saw the daily downward trend line break pretty cleanly. So that's definitely a positive sign. We have a 1-hour trend line here as well. So definitely looking pretty bullish. The 4-hour chart, in my opinion, we might have some sort of trend here, I understand, but it just looks very sideways to me. And really all I'm seeing on this 4-hour chart is this zone down at 58.32. We have gotten, we created support. Actually, we created support here, in my opinion. And I would like to see another reaction off of our purple box, which would be support. So if we do get a pullback, I want to see another reaction off the support. It would give me much more confidence in the zone. The logic is we have stop losses here because everybody's buying this support right into our demand zone, which would be a great dip buying opportunity. So that's what I prefer to see on oil. Not saying we're going to get that. Obviously, it's looking pretty bullish, but if we do get a pullback, I think it could be worth being patient, waiting for that zone, and then maybe seeing a large move. And if we break this zone, any supply there is going to be a nice trading opportunity as well, especially considering we have all that liquidity to target on the weekly chart. So I do prefer the break of this zone and then a supply zone trade. I think the bigger move could happen there. So if you do get in long here, I think aggressive with trade management could be good, meaning look for like a 1 to 2 max, just due to the fact that we have clear liquidity to target on the weekly chart. So really all going to revolve, in my opinion, on this 4-hour zone on crude oil. Last but not least, certainly not least, we are on to Bitcoin here. I've been talking about this one for a while. I love a pullback into really anywhere from 73,600 down to 60,000. I think it's a fantastic buying opportunity anywhere in this general area, in my opinion. You can see we have a weekly zone. It wouldn't surprise me to see a great reaction off of that weekly zone. Obviously, we are sitting right in the middle of supply and demand, so very tricky to tell where price is going to go. We kind of have to go with the lower time frames. On the daily chart here, this trend line is being very, very tested. It's not removed, in my opinion, and we're hovering right around it. So definitely, it's tricky to tell where price is going to go. It's pretty much going to revolve around this trend line. If we can close below it, in my opinion, we're going to be going much lower. But if we continue to hold, that's definitely a bullish sign, and we can continue to get in long. So it's a little bit tricky right now on Bitcoin, I won't lie. On the 1 hour chart, we had this 1 hour zone. I drew it for the members, and we just missed it twice. Kind of unfortunate here. At this point, if it's so tricky. I don't really want to call it liquidity since it's so close. If we do get a pullback down to the zone at 83,389, I think it could be worth looking for maybe a quick 1-to-1, quick 2-to-1. The fact that we're right at that trend line on the daily chart makes me nervous about this as well. So I think being aggressive with trade management at the zone, meaning 1-to-1, meaning move your stop to break even as soon as you can if you get a move, I think that would be preferred at this 1 hour zone here, guys. And I really think aggressive trade management at that 1 hour zone is much, much better. On Bitcoin, especially, like I said, due to the fact that we are kind of hesitant around this trend line, it's very tricky. And if you want to short, really the only supply I'm seeing is up here on the 4 hour time frame at 94,772. We are pretty overextended the downside, basing out right now, so it wouldn't surprise me to see maybe a move up. And I think it could be a good 4 hour supply. And let's say we push up here, maybe get a quick 1-to-1, 2-to-1, break the supply. Any demand there is going to be a nice trading opportunity as well. But the weekly chart's very interesting. I'm really hoping we can get a pullback down to that weekly demand. So I'm rooting for that. Even if we got to pull back up to the supply first, that'd be fine. Or remove demand first, whatever. So on Bitcoin, in my opinion, it's all going to revolve around this this daily upward trend line and this 1 hour demand zone right now on Bitcoin. If you guys want access to my full-length forecast, join the Diamond membership where you will have access to that as well as my daily market forecast, the full course supply and demand PDF, and much, much more. Make sure you guys subscribe so you can catch next week's forecast as well. And I always appreciate a like. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.